Prime Minister of India, in his independence speech in 2019, stated that a small section of a society which keeps its family small deserve respect. What it is doing is an act of patriotism. What Prime Minister's statements underscore is that importance of population stabilization from the perspective of India. In today's discussion of Newspaper Simplified, we will discuss topic of population stabilization. What is the context of today's discussion is that on 16th March, there was article in Indian Express, what India needs for a population stabilization. What India needs for a population stabilization, written by Shailaja Chandra. She was former executive director of National Population Stabilization Fund. Also, she was former secretary of Health Ministry. Where can we relate this topic of population stabilization is that in GS1 there is a specific mention of point population and associated issues. In GS2 there is a point of poverty as well as government policies. In GS3 we can relate to this topic to development as well as employment. So it touches various aspects of UPSC syllabus. Before moving to our point population stabilization, we will see what is the current status of India's population. According to 2011 census, India's population is about 121 crore. UN population report, that is UN population prospects report 2019, states that India's population is 137 crore or 1.3 billion crore, 1.3 billion. It also states that the report UN population prospect states that India will surpass China in 2027 and will become first country in terms of population. In prelim, they can ask who publishes the report. The report is published by Population Division of the UN, Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Report states that India will have 1.5 billion population in 2030 and 1.64 billion population in 2050. Though there is a concern about population growth, actually India's population rate is on declining. Economic Survey of 2018-19 stated that India will have a sharp decline in population growth in next 2 decades. By looking at this context, we will move to our topic of today's discussion, population stabilization. For population stabilization in future, we will need a proactive government policy. That is the central theme of this article. It states that wherever government have taken proactive steps, population stabilization has happened. If we consider goal of national population policy, it set goal of 2.1 TFR, total fertility rate, that is also known as replacement level fertility rate. About half states in India have achieved this rate. So, in terms of a TFR, we can divide India into 2 parts, that is states that have achieved that target and states that have not achieved that target. Writer states that the states that have achieved that target show decline across all sections of the society, means whether they are privileged, whether they are poor, whether they belong to any particular religion, does not matter. In that state or in that area, there is a secular decline in TFR, total fertility rate. We can see say that sample registration survey of 2017 shows TFR rate of a southern states such as Tamil Nadu 1.6, Kerala 1.7, and northern states such as UP have a TFR, high TFR of 3.2, 3 and 3. Bihar have 3.2 and UP have 3. When we look at a UP, high TFR is seen across all sections of the society, whether they belong to any particular religious community, it also doesn't matter. Writer states that this is due to the proactive policies pursued by the southern states. She states that when we look at the northern states, especially such as UP and Bihar, there is some kind of apathy or lack of enthusiasm from the government point of view. UP have one dedicated agency for population control. It is State Innovations in a Family Planning Services Agency, SIFPSA, State Innovation in a Family Planning Services Agency. But it is not functioning effectively. Also, when you visit its website, it gives dated information. So, this is a clear example of state level apathy. So, it is clear that state level proactive policies is a need of hour. But what should be the nature of that policy pursued by government? We will look it at now. In 1994, India signed International Conference on Population and Development Declaration. In 1994, what India said? International Conference on Population and Development Declaration, which honored a couple's right to decide on the size of its family and the space between the childbirth. It honored couple's right to decide on the size of its family and the space between the childbirth. Thus, family planning decisions should be based on a voluntary decisions. It should be based on the informed consent. Our National Population Policy 2000 also emphasized on the same aspect. When we look at the population planning or family planning history of India, coercive or punitive measures have backfired much. So, such measures have a counterproductive effect. Initial family planning initiative of government were focused on vasectomies, that is male sterilization. But after few years of independence, we emphasize more on coercive elements, means especially in times of emergency, coercion was more used, which lead to backfire, especially in the northern states. Government have to step back there and have to focus more on tubectomies, that is female sterilization. What happens is that vasectomy is relatively simpler procedure, while tubectomy is more complicated procedure. Government's coercion towards vasectomy lead to strengthening of earlier belief of a people that related to patriarchy. So this shows that if there is some traditional element in the society, if there is some patriarchal mindset which got strengthened because of the government's coercion. No other country in the world uses female sterilization as excessively as India. Means in Kerala also more than 88% of the sterilization are of female sterilization. This shows that whenever government uses coercive punitive policy, it leads to counterproductive effect. There is another example which states that punitive effects do not work. There is a two states norm adopted by various states. A study by former Madhya Pradesh Chief Secretary Nirmala Buch, former Madhya Pradesh Secretary for Nirmala Buch, on this aspect in various states such as Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, MP, Odisha and Rajasthan, showed that it also had unintended consequences. It led to violation of democratic as well as reproductive rights of the individuals. So these two examples shows that government policy should be more consent oriented, more informed decision oriented. In today's context, government policy should look at one another aspect, that is, in India's context, demographic transition is happening differently in different states. If you look at the southern states, they have already redeemed their demographic dividend, their non-working age population is increasing, while in context of northern states such as UP and Bihar, they will have window of opportunity in near future, that is, they will have a potential demographic dividend. These two aspects shows that government have to balance the two kinds of needs. Means southern states will need geriatric care, they will need infrastructure which will help elderly population, while the northern states will be requiring more focus on human capital formation, that is health and education. How government policy balances these two aspects will be beneficial for our population stabilization as well as our overall economic development of the country. Then the second aspect of population stabilization is very much important, that is women empowerment. In 2019, UPSC asked question, empowering women is the key to control population growth. Discuss. Empowering women is the key to control population growth. What happened is that empowered woman is having more reproductive autonomy. What do you mean by reproductive autonomy? She has more choice to choose how many children to have. Then women with fewer children are more able and are more willing to participate in the remunerative jobs. So family generate additional income. Such additional income will be channelized for their children's health and education. So more better capital formation, human capital formation will happen in future. There will be less infant mortality rate. So what happen when people are poor? There is high chances of there is greater infant mortality rate, which leads to having a more children. So empowered women will help in this aspect. Again, shortening of duration of the childbearing years of women will help in their increase in labor force participation. You must be aware that Indian women's labor force participation is between 20 to 22, while China's labor force participation is 60.5, which help China to reap their demographic potential to full. So in this context also, population control by empowering women will we have diversified workforce. Women empowerment will lead to more awareness and more acceptance of contraceptive use. Sample registration system survey of 2017 clearly shows linkages between women empowerment and low TFR, total fertility rate. It states that illiterate women have average TFR of 2.9. Illiterate women have average TFR of 2.9. Literate women have average TFR of 2.1, while the graduate and above qualified women have TFR of 1.4. This clearly shows that there is a link between women empowerment and population stabilization. Moving further, education is another enabling provisions which we should focus to stabilize the population. National Family Health Survey 4 shows only 22.8% women in Bihar or girls in Bihar attended school for 10 or more years. What National Family Health Survey 4 stated that only 22.8% women in Bihar attended school for 10 or more years, while for UP this percentage is only 32.9%. If we compare it with Kerala, its percentage is 72.9%, means 72.2% women in Kerala attended school for 10 or more years. So this aspect of education is also important from population stabilization. Another important area is development. In 2015, UPSC asked one question: critically examine whether a growing population is the cause of poverty or poverty is the main cause of population increase in India. We can look at the demographic transition theory. You must be aware of the demographic transition theory, which states that population of any country passes through 3 or 4 stages. Some demographer states that there are 3 stages, some demographer states that there are 4 stages. The demographic transition theory clearly shows the inverse relationship between development and population growth. What happens is that poor people look at their children as asset. They think that children will serve them 2 working hands. With development, more equitable distribution of income happen and such a kind of feeling decline. Development of old age and social security bridge the economic dependence of parents. With economic development, there is more avenues of social securities. Parents generally believe that children will serve them in latter age, elder age of their life as a social security. This feeling or this need get reduced with economic development. Expansion of public health programs, public health services with development ensures low infant mortality rate. Various aspects of development can be seen, that is reducing the population or stabilizing the population. To conclude, we can state the statement made by the Indian minister in World Population Conference in 1974. Indian minister stated in World Population Conference in 1974, that is, development is best contraceptive. Our challenge is to ensure that such development will be inclusive. So that's it from today's discussion of Newspaper Simplified. Thank you very much.